Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jamie, and tonight we are exploring the magical element of air. First time ever really getting into some magical elements for this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. We talk about the elements in witchcraft.
Yeah.
But we don't really talk about the elements.
Dedicate like a whole...
Yeah, like a whole conversation about them. We really don't sit around and contemplate, like, what does it actually mean? When I think of air, I think of Gemini. I think of the air signs. The air signs come to mind and how they're in their heads and stuff like that. But we have news for you. Air is a lot more than in your head.
It's so much more. The air element is like the element of our mind. It's our breath. It's how we communicate. It's accessing inspiration and manifestation. Like, it's so many things.
It's huge. I never really thought about it like that.
Well, and I don't know if I'm happy or scared that this is the element we started with. But it's such a big topic. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's way more than people think it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Way more than I've even given it a lot of thought for.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So air is corresponding with the season of spring, which is why we're doing this now. And spring is fast approaching, and we're getting ready to uncover how air energy influences our lives, how it can support our craft, and it helps us grow spiritually. If you're focused just on air for a second. We're going to also be covering the rest of the elements in the upcoming months as they coordinate with some of the zodiac signs that we'll be changing into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's start by understanding air energy in everyday life.
Yeah,
what is air energy? Tell us, Jamie.
What I have found in my research is that air energy is really about expansion. It's expansion energy. Like we think of space, and the word space brings us to like outer space, but it's not that. It's like all space. It's all the space in between everything. So it's expansion of everything constantly. It's like being able to move through space.
Well, we're living in air.
We're living in air, yes. We're using air to live. Air is the unseen force that surrounds us. I mean, we probably take it for granted the most out of all the elements.
We do until we encounter it, like...
elevation. I know, like, I've had climbing Mount Fuji, air, people, you could buy oxygen to go up with. So that was like, for breath, is like, oh shit, it's harder to breathe up here climbing this mountain.
I remember. Yeah. I think I remember that from Colorado, getting winded easier. Because there's not as much oxygen.
Air is thinner.
The air is thinner. Yeah.
So in thinking about what air energy is, I really love this analogy that, like, the first thing that makes us alive, I'm using air quotes, is our first breath when we're born. And what happens in order for us to cross over to the spirit realm is our last breath from our body. The air goes out and that's it.
That's just, I've never...
It's the door.
Yeah,
it's the door to being born and to crossing over.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Into the world and out of the world.
Into the world and out of the world.
At least physically, anyway.
Through the air door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it also holds space, so we're talking about air that we actually breathe, but also the air symbol, the air element, the space of air that it takes up, it assists us, it holds space for our inspiration, our imagination that leads to creation. This is where we do think about the mind part of the air element. This is in our heads. This is us being able to create visions and design new things. We get a thought. Thoughts are air energy. So the fact that air energy in everyday life is every time you have a creative thought or a thought at all, that's air energy. I think we underestimate how much we think. You don't really...
Or how much the element of air impacts our day-to-day life.
Absolutely. You got to be thinking in order to operate and move your body, Maybe you get into that auto drive place sometimes, like when driving home. Autopilot, that's what I meant to say.
Autopilot, yeah.
The autopilot of our brain. But for the most part, we're having to think through our decisions. Do I need this at the store? What time am I picking up the kids? Which time should I go to bed? Am I needing it? All
What's
the
for
things,
dinner?
all the little decisions we have to make
every
in our
day
life.
For the rest of your life.
Oh, shit. It just got dark. And I think lastly, air allows for knowledge and wisdom to cross through space and time. Like air is also the sign of knowledge and acquiring knowledge. And to acquire knowledge and learn from it equals wisdom. Mm-hmm. So I think about this even in like the maiden mother crone, where we start from that maiden, that fresh new insight, looking at the world with so much hope and joy, to the mother learning a lot of hard lessons and growing. You've created something and now you're nurturing it and having it exist without you, to crone. Now you're the wise one who's been through all the lessons and you're trying to pass on that knowledge before you take your last breath.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find something I didn't connect it with. That's why I say I can't believe we're starting with air. It's such a big topic, but
it is such a big topic.
It's Aquarius season coming up.
So I love that you have broken down air into 3 levels of energy, and the first, I guess it's like a layer.
I didn't know what else to call it. It's a layer.
We'll just call it a layer.
A layer within the air element.
Okay. So this is open space, and this is what we were just talking about. Like, we're in air. This is the air exchanging energy between all things. Every thought, sound, smell, and story is accessible in the air. Mm-hmm. That saying hangs in the air, palpable in the air. The air is so thick you can cut it with a knife.
Tension in the air.
Tension in the air. Yeah, we've heard all these things. That's a real thing. That's because those energies, you think about a room you go into, and what's the energetic? That's the energy that's in the air.
The air is holding on to that.
Yeah, you're picking up vibrations from people, but those vibrations are out into the air.
They're in the air.
They're carried.
That's where it's
in the air.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just think that's so interesting that we think about the vibrations and energy of other people, but we often don't relate it. We just say energy. We don't say air energy.
Vibration.
Vibration. Yeah.
But guess where that vibration is being carried? What's it being carried on?
Carried through the air.
It's carried through the air.
Even sound to our eardrums, music, words, all of the scents, all these things have to go through the air to get to us. So it's carried on the air. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I probably associated air with a lot was wind. I was like, oh, well, you can kind of see the wind because trees move and the wind, when the waves are rolling and,
I think of all, probably, I'm going to admit something right now, and I don't know if anybody else is going to feel the same way, but I think of all the elements: water, earth, fire, air. I probably gave air the less respect, the least amount of respect.
I know.
Because water, I'm a water
granted.
sign.
Yeah.
Fire, that for me, I know that's transformation. That's the phoenix. That's the Scorpio, the phoenix, me burning to the ashes. And then even earth. I mean, with earth, it's like all of our material things. But air.
The gardening. Earth is so easy for me, but air, right.
Air is so much harder to
conceptualize.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Because it's not really, it's the unseen.
Yeah, it is the unseen.
It's the unseen, but it's not the unheard. So that's really, you have to know where these things are coming from and where they live. And they live in air energy. It's so wild. I know. I keep blowing my own mind thinking about it.
It's like when all of a sudden something pops into your mind, like a random song. Like, where did that come from?
Right.
That's something that's
carried on the wind.
That you like
filtered in, and your psyche grabbed it, your aura grabbed it, and now you're humming a 1981 song of like you weren't even born yet, and you're like, what the hell? How did I know that? That has literally happened to me, and I used to make this joke when I was younger because I would have all these random songs, just pieces of them stuck in my head, and I don't know them at all. I don't know the artist, I don't know the song name, but I could hear the melody, and I could hear some of the words, like part of the verse. And I used to tell myself that I must have a spirit guide who really loved music, and they would just give me these things so they could hear me sing it. And I'm like,
you do have a spirit guide.
That's what I've always said. Yeah. I blamed it on my spirit guides, not the fact that I could get messages through the air or pick up on stuff.
Like things are being transmitted through the air.
Yeah.
And if we're in tune with them, we can actually pick up on them.
Imagine if you could see all the stuff that actually is going through the air right now. Think of every Bluetooth device, internet connection, satellite, radio signals.
It makes me listen. That just
you wouldn't be able to see. I'm pretty sure we'd be blind.
The thought of that stresses me out because I just think about how much stuff is actually in the air. Any minute of the day.
Even if we could see pollen particles, water molecules. We live in Florida. There's 100% humidity here all the time. We'd be living in water. We'd see all the water particles in the air. It's held up by air.
Something I think that comes to mind pretty easily when we think about air is old thought patterns and feelings. And maybe that's why, in conversations that, we can get into or that come up when we walk into a familiar place. And I think that's why I never really related all that stuff to air, because thought patterns I don't know where. I mean, to me, the feelings drive the thoughts.
Yeah.
So I think that would be coming from a place of feeling. And then which one is that?
Feelings. Yeah. I mean,
is that air? That's
feelings
our air energy.
Feelings can be associated with water because of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
But thoughts bring on feelings.
Yes.
That then bring on emotions. So air is still first in that.
Air is first.
I mean, memories are part of the air world because they exist in our mind. That's something that lives in that air space. Yeah, it's so wild how we underestimated air for so long. Probably.
We've been doing this a long time, and we both, I think, realized today we have underestimated air.
We're like, oh shit! I'm sorry, air. We owe you some attention.
Yeah, sorry, we dissed you. Like we didn't pay you any attention. Like we can't see you.
You weren't part of the cool club. We didn't include you enough. We are very sorry. But you've talked about how much you love candles and like scent is really your thing.
It is really my thing.
That's all air. And you just we weren't acknowledging it. We weren't acknowledging it.
That's true.
Whoa.
In that way.
Acknowledging it as that. There we go.
Yeah,
that was fucking
exactly.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is like how psychics operate, and or is a red, because you would think that would have to be it, right?
It's outside of your body. It's part of like space, so that's air.
It all exists in like this open space that anyone can see and interpret if they have the skills and if they're tuned in.
Okay, I just thought of something else. What if the word energy is also just air? Because energy is not visible. Energy is transmitted. Energy is exchanged.
It's a vibration.
It's a vibration. That all travels through air.
Yeah.
So energy itself is part of the air element.
Absolutely.
I mean, I didn't write that today, but I'm kind of concluding that right now while I'm talking about it.
No, I realize that. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like...
Okay, air, you're blowing my mind today.
Literally.
So this could be the problem for empaths. Like we feel everything because it's, all of these subtle energies are on the air with
they're
people
hanging
and their
in
thoughts.
The air, yeah.
Hanging and they're flowing and they're flying past us. They're bumping into us.
You feel it from other people. I think that's where I get really overwhelmed being out in crowds because now I can associate it with like, oh my gosh, empath means that you're feeling the energy of all these other people, maybe their thoughts. You might not be cognizant of it. It's not like you can hear each individual thought like a psychic can, but you're fucking feeling it. It's in the air. It's heavy. It's hanging next to you. Imagine you sit down all right, we were just at the nail salon the other day. We sit down next to somebody. You can kind of feel if they're mad, happy, sad, disturbed, pissed off, joyful,
yeah, but again,
bored,
there's
tired.
that word again, feeling.
Feel.
Right? So the feeling,
That's
I don't
associate
sensory.
With yeah.
I'm not
I don't know.
associating that with the feeling with the vibrational thing, with the vibration being on a air
frequency
stream or whatever,
yeah.
like an air stream.
You have to, I guess, imagine it physical, and then you can better understand it. If we could see it, maybe we could better label it and say, if you're picking up on somebody's aura.
If only air was blue, like they show.
We would be blind though. All we would see is blue. That'd
like
be crazy.
they always make the wind blue. Like when somebody draws the wind, it's like blue.
Cartoons and stuff.
Yeah. Right? It's blue.
Right.
So if it was just tinted, maybe we'd be like, damn, air, you're there, like all the time.
Which is why when you look at magical associations and air is yellow, I'm like, no, I don't agree with that.
Why is air yellow? That never made sense to me.
So I was reading some older witchcraft books, and air was associated with warmth. So I thought that was really interesting. I didn't know why that became a thing. I don't have this in the notes at all, but like spiritualism came out of the revolutions after hardcore religious persecutions and stuff, right? So there was spiritualism, which led people to believe in like the afterlife and spirits and all this other stuff. And then that's when the occult really came in. So it was this progression of how did we get here? And the old, I wish I could remember like the names of them, before modern witchcraft, you would have called it traditional witchcraft. And they had a different direction, because right now, for me, the air element is assigned to east. So that's the beginning of the day. That's the same direction. Like that's the way our sun, rises, and that's like the whole day getting started. Well, back in the day with traditional witchcraft, it was the north, and it was associated with winter. Not the east and not with spring.
I remember when I first started always getting confused my directions. I always put air to the north.
Oh wow! So you might have been more of a traditional witch.
Yeah,
then.
and I because I would get them mixed up. And I would always think that the air went
went north.
In a direction, because I remember setting up altars in my house.
Yeah.
And getting those mixed up.
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you know? What is north to you now?
Wait a minute.
Oh,
if
we're
air's
put her on the
east,
spot.
south, west, earth.
Earth, yeah.
See, and earth just, I don't know.
Where do you think you would have placed earth then if you would do air?
I think I had them swapped because I knew south and west are easy for me. Fire, south because it's hot. And then west for me, almost everywhere I've lived, west, the water is always to the west.
The west
so
coast.
That was really easy to make those connections with west and south. And then I would have to figure out
north and east.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So we were just talking about how if you're an empath and you go out and you pick up on these energies that are on this air frequency or on this frequency. So let's talk about how we can deal with that. How do we safeguard ourselves, I think, from being, slammed in the face with it or whatever, it impacting how we feel, the heaviness, picking up that heaviness.
Okay, so I didn't write this in the notes, but I will tell you this is why people talk about grounding so fucking much in witchcraft. Because grounding is the opposite of being in your head and being in that air symbol and air sign, air element. It's grounding. It's bringing your feet back to earth. It's being present.
I just really read something, and I think it was in somebody that I follow on one of the threads. The only thing I follow in threads, which is, if you guys don't know, that's like a new Facebook thing where it's kind of like Facebook, Twitter, for lack of a better way to do that. You just conversations. So the only thing I follow in there is witch things, astrology, and then don't laugh, but dating advice. Because I'm planning to get out eventually and have a dating life again. But anyway, this one witch that I follow, one thing that she said was that every day you should go out and get your feet in the dirt, put your feet into the dirt, not just stand on the dirt, but get your feet into the dirt. And I realized I've got the perfect sand goddess circle in my backyard to go out and put my feet.
It's quartz,
it's not
sand.
It's not
beautiful.
Dirt. It's actually sand from the beach, and it's white, and it's a little messy because of the storm, but nonetheless, that would be such an easy place to do that.
Well, that's why when I get my morning coffee and I go walk the garden, I always go barefooted. I just do, and I don't care what I step on. I don't care what happens, except right now there's a lot of pine sap on the ground, and I noticed in my shower I have these yellow sticky. It almost looks like a nicotine spot. It's like this weird. The sap is coming off, but you have to get a remover for it because it's so sticky.
You need Gooby Gone or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Gooby Gone?
Something like
Gooby Gone. The gorilla Gooby Gone. So every morning when I take Tank down to the park, so I take him for a walk first. Tennis shoes, because we're walking for 30 minutes.
On real streets that could be scary.
On real streets with sidewalks and stuff, and sometimes just asphalt. But then I get home and I put him into the car and I drive him down to the park, which is just right down the street. And I wear my flip-flops. And when I get out of the car at the park, I leave my flip-flops in the car.
I love that.
And I walk through the grass and let my feet get all wet and they're stuck with grass on them. And I just wiggle my toe. It makes me happy.
Yeah, it does.
I think it's like a great way to start the day.
So that's grounding.
Yeah,
that's basically what grounding is.
All right.
So that would be how we could deal with being too empathetic to situations and people. Sensitive, and being overly drawn, or not drawn, but it's almost like you can't get away from it when you're. Well, it's kind of
I feel like absorbing it. You absorb it because it's it becomes. It's almost like it closes in on you, and you can't help but it's seeping in. It's seeping into your. It definitely gets into your space. Whether it actually permeates your outer, your skin, I don't know, but it definitely permeates
your mind.
If not, your mind. If not your physical, if not physically, then you're definitely feeling it in your head. You might be feeling it in your heart,
your chest, the heaviness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you talked about the first layer, which was that open space and the air exchange between all things. So the second layer that I called this. Okay, I just created this, you guys. But as a second layer to what air energy is really about is the creation. So first we had this external open space outside of us. The next one is the creation part. These are the thoughts. This is manifestation. This is spell work. These are mantras. These are affirmations. We're creating our own reality using our thoughts. That's what this is, the creation level.
Whether we want to admit it or not, we are always creating our reality with our thoughts.
Yeah. Because each thought or mental vision that you have, it creates an energy about that thing, and that's what you just
what that does
Boom,
is it puts
done.
the responsibility back onto you to take care with your thoughts.
Yeah.
So like, what are you thinking about? Are your thoughts helping you, or are they like bringing you down?
Yeah.
Are they making you happy? Are you looking forward, or are you looking in the past? Are you living in the past? What are you doing? What's going on inside your head?
Mm-hmm. About how you talk to yourself.
Yeah, how do you talk to yourself?
I like to think of this like the way that we create through thought. Imagine that you have like a soapy bucket, to make bubbles with, and you put your hands up and you've got that thin layer of bubbly soap between your fingers, and then you blow through it and a bubble pops out. That is what thought creation feels like or looks like to me. Like if I could imagine it, that breath of thought, like you spoke words into a physical form, and it like, boop, there it goes, floating off into the universe.
I will never look at bubbles the same way again.
I love that.
And now I just want to go get bubbles and like blow them all over my yard.
I know. I love bubbles. I love how they create rainbows.
Bubbles too.
Well, they're little rainbow circle bubbles.
And now we can think of them as these little thoughts that our thoughts are like that. So if you can visualize that your thoughts are like when you were a little kid and you got the little bubbles. Did you have the little bubbles and a little thing?
With the little stick? Of course I did. With a little stick in them. Yes.
I don't know if they still have those anymore.
Well, now I'm going to, now I'll bring you some bubbles. That'll be in your
what about the one that had like the round one with the thousands of holes in it, or not 1,000 holes, but like 25 whole bunch of holes in it, and you would put it in this flat thing, and then you would wand it, and it would make like a zillion.
I never
bubbles.
had one of those. Yeah,
that was the coolest thing ever when I was a kid.
They probably won't sell those until summertime.
Well, I don't even know if they sell them anymore. But
with spring, those are like things that go into, we could call them Easter baskets or Astara baskets.
Yeah,
but
true.
You get bubbles and colorful shit and like all
look at that, and then spring related to
spring. That's it. Yeah, it's all coming together.
It's all coming together. Yeah.
So this is specifically how manifestation works. If you guys wanted to envision, like, so I say these words and I put these things together and shit manifests for me in spells. Yes, because your thoughts are the real thing. That's why we always say the power is in the witch. It's not in the items that you possess and you own. That's not it. The creation is from you. It is in the words, though. It's in the words. But it's not in the stuff.
It's not in the stuff. But it is
so
in
imagine
the
your words. Each word that flows out of your mouth actually creates the thing.
And maybe that's why witches are always looking for somebody give me a spell for such and such. Because they're putting the power in the words that somebody else has written or that somebody else has used and been successful with. But really, those words are just letters characters on a page until you do something with them. Until you... Is it invoke,
breathe life into them?
Breathe life into them.
You're literally bringing the words to life by saying them. Mm-hmm. There's this whole thing where you can give thoughts to your darkest nightmares, you can give life to your darkest nightmares by thinking about them over and over again. You can scare your own self.
Oh, I've scared myself. Yeah. I scared myself for like about 12 years after watching this really scary movie with my brothers.
Is it the one with the hand?
It's the one with the crawling hand under the bed. And you guys, I had 2 older brothers and younger siblings, but my brothers exposed me to this, what for me at the time was a terrifying movie.
Yeah.
And it's this old black and white, and if you're like in my age group, you might have seen this. But anyway, the scene is guys driving around town. He hits somebody with a car. It cuts off their hand, and then the hand gets live, and it's like crawling around town, crawling up the back of car seats.
It has its own agenda.
It definitely does. It's like out for revenge after it got like chopped off from his body. That movie scared me so hard, and I would work myself up. I would be thinking about that fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I would be so petrified. And this went on all through my teen years. My son was born. I was 20 years old before I finally stopped I was finally able to like walk into a dark room and not run and jump on the bed and
So
flip the light off.
How did you change that pattern for you? How did you stop fearing that thing?
You know, I think I stopped telling myself that it was, you know,
possible.
I mean,
or
I think it became like, this is ridiculous kind of a thing. Like I've been doing this now for over 10 years, being afraid of something under the bed. Like what, I mean,
has it ever got you in those 10 years? You're like, okay.
It never got me. And what's more, it really did scare me because I had the feeling in my stomach. Like I realized I could scare myself by thinking about these things, and which is why I just won't anymore.
Right.
But I was able to stop thinking about it. And then that was able to get me past so that I didn't have to run and jump onto the bed when the room was dark.
But you have to, I think that initial step, when we start changing our mind, because that's really what we're talking about. We're changing our mind. We're changing our thoughts. We're changing what we think or what we believe is true. When we first start doing that, the very first time you have to tell yourself that it's not real, that it's been a lie, or that something else is true instead, it's really uncomfortable. And you almost don't believe yourself when you're like, this isn't fucking real.
You have to keep telling yourself that.
You do. You have to keep going through it. That's why affirmations work. It didn't just happen
overnight for me. No. It was
it usually doesn't. You know, when you believe something. It was me making
up my mind that this was silly.
Yeah, so let's get
It was really ridiculous, actually. I'm like, really?
Well, now that you're, 66, you especially know you can laugh at it. You're like, oh, fuck.
I can't believe I did all that year, all those years, not being able to walk into a dark room with a bed and someone's under it.
So because this layer that we're talking about right now is like the creation, we create things from our thoughts. One of the problems that we run into is like once we create a thought, and this could be, we hear an opinion from somebody else. Like I think I've told you, somebody told me when I was 17 or 18 years old that I had a really annoying voice. So I believed that about myself for so long. I was like, oh man, my voice is ugly. Like my voice is not pleasant. People do not want to hear me speak.
Oh.
And that because somebody told me that my voice was really annoying and could I shut up?
People are so mean.
Fucking rude, right?
They're so mean. Like, why would you tell somebody that?
Or even feeling embarrassed because of something. You know, when I was younger, I had to go to speech class. So there were several things that helped perpetuate that lie in my head. I had a really cute little, couldn't say W's and R's. And
I didn't even know that my daughter had a speech impediment, you guys, until the school told me. I thought it was just the way she talked.
It was the way I talked.
I figured she would outgrow it, but she couldn't say, like, worm. She would say warm.
Warm, world, Williams.
Yeah, she had trouble with that. Yeah, with those W's and R's, right?
W's, R's, L's together, yeah.
Yeah, and so and then when she was in, was it second grade?
Second grade. Yep, they put me in speech.
The school's like, Jamie needs to be in speech. And I'm like, what? That was like when I heard the other one needed glasses. I'm like, what? Nobody in our family has glasses. How is that possible? But she just had a cute little way of saying things, and I never considered it a problem.
Yeah, and they wanted to hold me back if I didn't go. Yeah. It's like, it didn't have anything to do with intelligence. It's like, you just need to speak like everybody else. Okay, well. And then when I had my braces, I had the all of my everything had a snaky sound to it.
How did you even turn out okay? All of your
I was determined. Determination to be like, fuck you, everybody who told me I can't do shit.
I got held back in third grade because they had to like put me in remedial reading. I was slow, probably because I have dyslexia, or at least it may not be like full on dyslexia, but I definitely.
No, we all have dyslexia. I have it. You have it. My kid has it. My fucking nephews have it. My sister has it.
I flip words around. I flip numbers around all the time.
All the time.
That's probably why I had trouble learning to read.
Yeah.
Also, we were not taught then phonetically. We were taught see spot runs fast.
Memorization.
So memorization.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's a bullshit way to teach people to read.
So what I was getting to, which we went on a long story to get to this, but these things that we're told when we're young, these experiences that we have, these embarrassments, the things that people say to us, that they think about us, your nose is too fucking big, your eyelashes aren't long enough, you've got a fat ass, you've got too small of titties, like whatever it is that we got made fun of for so long. Though that sticks with us, and we will hear those words again, and we will start to believe it ourselves, the negative things that people have said about us.
And why do we start to believe it? Because we start to repeat it
because
in our
we're
head.
repeating it. Because we're afraid that it's true. Or we believe that other people wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. And it's not that we value...
Where's the thing we talked about? Oh, someone else's opinion. That's
somebody else's opinion.
Someone else's opinion.
Yeah, so how long do we let that fucking thing hang around us? How long do we keep those thoughts in our head? Because the problem with creation is that if we keep saying it, we're creating those things over and over again.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe that's one of the healing journeys that women embark on in witchcraft.
Absolutely.
Is because these types of things get addressed where they don't get addressed in traditional healing, let me just put this loosely, like healing environments. Let me just
like
use
what,
that
like counseling or something?
Like counseling, or I was thinking religion, because this is sort of like a religious.
Is that considered healing? Is religion, you think, is
well,
healing?
I think people.
But for some, maybe.
I think people turn to religion for guidance and help,
acceptance,
and all of these things, and so they can feel better about themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's why I sort of relate the witchcraft journey to the religious spiritual journey for some people who find something, a higher power to look to for answers and guidance and all that. Just like us.
And like acceptance of self, I think.
Just like we're doing in witchcraft, we're looking to hopefully our higher selves, but I think initially we're just looking to spirit to guide us, and then eventually we realize we are spirit.
Yeah.
We are the spirit.
And then we start trusting ourselves.
And then
And then you become fucking awesome. And life is great, yeah.
And when you grow up, you get to be a crone.
That's right. So I put in here, like, how do we protect ourselves from untrue thoughts? Because all of this is air energy. It's really becoming aware, having that awareness of our thoughts and what we're telling ourselves, of what our self-talk is, of the thoughts that we're allowing in that other people might say to us. I've had people say things to me that I knew wasn't true, and I used to get really defensive. I can remember a partner telling me that I was weak-minded, and it enraged me because I thought I'm anything but weak-minded. I've been through so much tough shit. I'm so strong. My perseverance gene is like through the roof.
Well, I feel like your rage would come from, even though that might have been your initial reaction, you know what I think the actually underlying was? You don't know me at all.
Well, that's what you don't know me. Of course.
You don't know me.
If they could say something like that to me, I was like,
you don't even know me.
You don't fucking know me.
You don't know me.
Like a little bit
all of a sudden you're like, oh shit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with somebody who really does not know who I am.
Does not know me. To think that. So like these invasive fears, the worries that stop us from growing and reclaiming our own powers as witches and women, we are going to get into that a little bit more. Like I have some self-help stuff on the third point, but this is where this is all coming from. I want you to remember that we will hear these things. We will filter these things out of the air. They will come to us, but it is up to us to not keep the story recreating in our heads. That is where you will have a problem, because in that second level or layer, the thoughts are what we release into the world to be true about ourselves. That is our self-confidence. That's the way we present ourselves. That's the way we speak about ourselves. That's how we enter a room. All of this goes further than just the thoughts we think in our head.
So third level, we're talking about, are we ready to move on
to
the third
layer.
level?
I know,
third layer, layer of this is, and I think I just touched on it a minute ago, when you finally elevate yourself, you realize you're reaching for spirit, and then you realize you are spirit. So spiritual is our next, is the third layer.
Of
and
air.
That is of air.
Yeah.
And that is the energy of spirits and deities beyond the veil. When we think about, the thinning of the veil at Samhain, this allows us to feel or even see spirits. And it makes, at that time when that veil is thinned, it makes communicating with them or invoking them easier.
Yeah. Yeah, we can think of our spirit as being formless and weightless like air. So our souls and the souls and spirits of those who have crossed over have got to be in the same space of spiritual air energy. So to recap the three layers that I kind of made with air energy, the first one being all the space that is around us. The second one being the things that we can create using our mind, which is air, the element of creation, like manifestation and spells. And then lastly is the other side, like where spirits are, where these stories of deities have lived. All of this ancient knowledge, I even think of, sort of comes over from the other side, is able to cross through and reach
I think
us.
that's why that's why I think that's one of the things that draws us as witches to learning about the deities and the gods and the goddesses. Because, even though these are like mythical, some of these are like mythical creatures, they all exist in this higher level of the air element.
Where anything is possible, We're the ones that make things impossible. We're the ones that tell ourselves things can't be true or can't be done. Yeah. So we started this out with, air, energy, and everyday life. And we went on to like define what air energy is. And then we looked at these 3 levels of air energy where we're just wrapping up. But because this was so long, I wanted to make sure that we try to go back to like what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think that's good because we get off on our stories, you guys. We can't help ourselves.
Hopefully it helps reiterate what we're trying to talk about.
But I think it's good to refresh where we started with this part of this podcast was,
like what is air energy? Then we went through we went through the 3 layers, and now we're at like feeling or harnessing air energy. Because this is using air energy in everyday life, right? How do we feel or harness air energy in our everyday life? First thing, go ahead and say it because you know what I'm going to say.
Well, were you going to say a Taylor Swift concert?
Fuck yes. I mean, I thought of that.
Any situation that you go into when there is an air of excitement, let's put it that way. Or I haven't been to an Eras tour, and I'm so sad that I'm never going to see the Eras tour in person. But I definitely follow I watch all the shorts and videos that people make, and the air is filled with, I mean, it's electricity. It's so powerful. All these people there together with the same feeling of like they love this artist, they love these songs, they connect with this person.
So much connectedness,
and they not only connect with with Taylor, but they're connecting with each other because they're all like brought together into this. And you think 70,000 people in a space with that type of energy,
all thinking sort of the same thing, all feeling the same thing, all preparing, all excited. That level, I've never been in a concert that big, and to say that the air was literally electrified and you could feel it coming from every direction. I mean, you don't even know where your body starts and ends because you're part of this huge
that gives me
thing.
Goosebumps.
Oh my God, I've never experienced anything like it. And I was really scared to go into a huge arena, because of my military training. I was taught that high occupancy places are where bad stuff can happen because they're good targets. So I was already a little fearful because all my training says don't do this. But I really wanted to go. And my husband fucking got the tickets for me. Like I didn't even try. I was like, there's no way, this is crazy. And he fucking got them. So it was like I had this opportunity to release that fear of something bad could happen to you, Jamie. Protect yourself. Don't do it. And like go and just be a part of it and be living in that moment of all this energy. Oh my God. It was overwhelming. It was absolutely overwhelming. And you tear up.
In a good way.
Yeah, you tear up just from the energy. Like you feel it. Oh my, it's insane. Now I've been in other rooms that have had this same feeling. And some of them were rooms that were full of fear and being scared because we knew like when you're being bombed on a base, everybody that's laying there is terrified. You're all hoping that the next one doesn't hit the space you're in. You're all hoping that people that are not out there dying right now. Yeah. So I've been in both situations, and the feeling when there's so many people that have come together and you're experiencing that, it doesn't seem like it doesn't exist. Like you can't see it. It feels like you can feel it, see it, taste it, hear it, touch it.
Well, you are literally in a soup of it,
Yes. It's wild.
Yeah.
Like my body is starting to shake now, just remembering the feelings of the two. Both gave similar feelings of like excitement, ready to run, ready to do anything, like scream, shout, all of that, but in different levels.
You know what I think? And I just thought of a football game. If you've ever been to like a live football game.
God.
Oh my gosh. I've been to like Chiefs games in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. It's literally, it's electric in there. It really electric, is because everybody is like hyped. And even if your team doesn't score well or something like that,
you're still all together rooting.
You're still all together, you're rooting, and then all of a sudden if your team misses something, like they missed a touchdown or whatever, then everybody gets the same thing. It's like,
we're in sync. It's in sync when you're at games like that. So the point of talking about these big spaces where all these people are feeling the same things is emotions. Emotion is energy in motion. That is our feelings leaving us, and it's existing within space and time that you can feel from somebody. Like when I talked about we're in the nail salon, you sit down next to somebody, you can kind of tell, are they pissed off? Are they bitchy? Are they sad? Are they tired? Like you can kind of feel their energy if you're an empath.
Well, and even when we do spells or say prayers, those things travel across distances.
They do.
To the people we love and care for. That's air magic.
Yeah. I've done that so many times for people who have asked me like, hey, I'm going through this hard time. Like, can you do anything? They don't ask me specifically. And then I tell them what I created as an altar for them or something. And that's what I think of. The reason why it works for me is because my energy that I put into that is reaching them through the air element.
Well, and I remember the most recent thing. You might have done something since then, but the hurricane in North Carolina.
No, actually, I had one more after that. Yeah,
that was the most recent thing that I know about. Yeah. Where you made a sigil for somebody who
to get help.
Yeah, to get help.
Was stranded and stuff. Yeah, and it's putting that, because to do a sigil would be a lot of mental energy, a lot of air energy. And when you're thinking about it, you're saying the things over and over again, and you're putting their name into it. And so there's all this energy I built up. Think about that bubble that I'm blowing, fuller and fuller of all that energy that I want to go to them. Yeah. And then when I am finished, that's released and it goes to them and hopefully surrounds them in that protective energy, or that, help people find them and have people help them. That's how I think about the spells, is that it travels across space and time to reach where it's supposed to go, to bring in the thing that I need, whether that's for myself or somebody that I love and that I care for and I need to help.
So our last thing on this particular topic is about dreams of flying. Oh my gosh, I had dreams of flying when I was a kid. So dreams use our imagination with no human or physical laws.
Which I love that about the air element.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, that's air element right
there.
Air
is unrestricted. And I can remember having a dream when I was a little kid of me running down my street with my arms out, stretched out to the side like an airplane, running and then lifting off and then flying over everybody with my arms stretched out, just like, I don't know if it's Peter Pan or something I saw in a cartoon, but, like doing like almost like an airplane thing, right?
That's how you were steering.
It felt so real.
Yeah.
Like so real.
I still have lots of dreams about flying. I've even had a time when me, my brother, and my sister, this is when I was younger in my 20s, but me, my brother, and my sister were in a field, and I was trying to teach them how to fly, and I didn't use like speed or air to take off. It was like the will of my body, like think it and it'll happen for you. You'll just lift off because you believe that you can. Like it was like the power of belief, and I was trying to get them to see that they could do it too. Yeah, very
well,
very interesting.
That's I think that's a good segue for the next thing. So let's talk about how we can actively work with the air, with the element in our daily lives and magical practices.
Absolutely. I think in working with air, I've only really thought about like bells and songs and incense and ways that I've used to disrupt negativity in air. I'm not sure I've worked a ton with it. Well, I mean, manifestation spells are air energy, but I don't think I fully understood that until today.
I don't think I made that connection.
I mean, like how big it is?
Manifestation with air. I never really.
With thoughts, yeah. Not connecting it to that.
Definitely not connecting it to that. Like air, I have a whole new respect for you after this podcast.
Right? If someone was asking me, what's the most common element you use in your spells? I'd be like, oh, probably fire.
Yeah, because you're always lighting candles, right?
Yeah, transformation, action. But truly, all the thought that goes into everything that I do, it's 1,000% air.
It starts with air.
It starts with air. It does. Absolutely. So when we're using air magic, to gain clarity, it's like you get stuck in a decision. You want to use air energy to clear that mental fog. Like this is where the outside opinions of other people, or we can't make a decision because you've got so many other people's opinions pressing down on you. Like you want to do what's right for everybody and not just you. I would say like whisper your desires into the universe, just your desires. Nobody else has to know about them, so that you can get what you really need. Like you're out for your highest journey. And I think sometimes when we get involved with people and family and relationships, we want them to come along on our journey. It's not always helpful. When you're seeking clarity, seek it only for yourself and not for everybody involved, like just for you. I think there's power in that ownership for yourself.
Before important conversations, spell work with air can aid in clear expression, like burning sage or a sacred herb to clear negative energy. This is something that I think most witches are very familiar with in terms of Like we always sage before we do tarot cards to clear the space. We sage each other, negative energy.
See, that's another one of like clearing out and making the air fresh, ready for new messages, right? Instead of the stagnant air that lingers. Yeah.
The thing though, so this is kind of like something that I will think about after this is when you're being creative, that is air energy when you're writing or painting or brainstorming new ideas or anything where you're mentally creating things. That's air.
Thinking, speaking, creating, singing, poetry, words, all of that is air energy.
Because the thoughts are going
everything.
out.
Yeah.
They're in your head, but they're transmitting.
They're the bubbles.
They're the bubbles.
Can you imagine?
They're the thousand. Oh my God! I got bubbles. I got bubbles. Like now, I'm going to think about that. All the thousands of little
coming off your head all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I'm going to see everybody else's bubbles coming off their head. Or you run into the one person, you're like, he has no bubbles. He's not thinking at all. Nothing is there. Nobody's home. You ever met somebody like that where it's
I'm not sure what to think about that.
Yeah. Well, you ask your kids sometimes when they do stuff like, what were you thinking? It's like, maybe they weren't really thinking. They were pretending. They were imagining. They were creating. They were like, real consequences. What? That's not where I live.
There's a natural magic to air, like a transportive power, if you will. Yeah. Sound waves, how music or words or chants resonates and travel. We already talked about aromas a little bit. Like my thing with smell. I love candles and incense. Not really incense because it's really strong, but I love scents. So I'm a huge thing with scents. So aromas, and then energy exchanges. Like air enables psychic connections.
Yeah, between two people.
We can look at each other and be like, I know what you're thinking.
Yes, both of us at the same time. Light bulb goes off. Yeah. And we can see it. There's an acknowledgement or something that happens.
And then, of course, we've got weather magic. I mean, thunder, lightning. So, oh my gosh, who doesn't love a thunderstorm?
Love thunderstorms.
Who does not love a thunderstorm?
I love lightning. I love to watch lightning. It is mesmerizing to me.
Listen, when we're having stormy season here, I like to make storm water.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that water is just so powerful from when it's going crazy outside. Mm-hmm. And then I gather that water. I feel like that water is really
supercharged.
Absolutely.
Okay, yes. So now do you think that would be more water element or air element now that you have this?
I would really, well, you know what? I think powerful is what I think, like charged, like highly charged.
It doesn't have to be just an element.
Yeah. I don't know that, I haven't,
things to think about later, right?
It's really like, okay, things to ponder when you're,
I know.
Like, it'll just pop into my head down the road.
I know it. That's how I felt writing this. I'm telling you.
Okay.
So with weather magic, though, we've always said, like, we're more careful. We've had some oopsies with weather magic that turned into things we really didn't want. There were repercussions for that in our family for some reason.
The unexpected outcomes, like, oops.
With spells.
I shouldn't have done that
weather.
Spell.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't try to control the weather.
But lightning and thunder teach us about how air's raw power ignites transformation. Because two air fronts, right? You got a low pressure or high pressure system or cold and hot. When they come together, that's what creates these storms. These opposite things that come to create something super powerful and like that changes it. It changes something. I mean,
listen, we just went through. So I'm going to tell a little story here talk about weather that transforms. We just went through a second back-to-back earthquakes.
Earthquakes. Oh shit! No,
hurricanes.
Mom.
Sorry, hurricanes.
Yeah, back in the fall. Yeah,
back in the fall, and we have here in Southwest Florida. We're in Sarasota County. There was this place called Midnight Pass.
Oh shit! Yeah.
That it was like an outlet that people had filled in with sand. Because the people that owned the properties, they didn't want boats going through there. Is that right? They
were afraid their houses would fall in the water.
Oh, okay. So they were afraid their houses were going to... So the sands are... The keys are like these little sand barges, if you will, that are pretty stable, but eventually, they're going to shift.
The weather shifts them a lot.
The weather shifts them a lot. But anyway, 40 years ago, these homeowners paid to have this filled in because they were worried about losing their property. And there has been a fight on almost since the very beginning to get this opened up because of what it did to the water that was on the inside
on
of
the
intercoastal waterways, because it got stagnant because there wasn't a place for it to go.
Yeah, it stopped.
Milton came through.
Yeah.
Here, like October 10th, I think it was October 10th.
Yeah.
And opened that up again. And so now, 40 years of trying, and it took a hurricane to just boom in 12 hours or whatever it was.
Well,
we woke up the next day and there was Midnight Pass was open again.
Yeah. So I want to tell you what's funnier of that. Like, we've been supporting opening Midnight Pass for a long time. Mm-hmm. And by supporting, I mean giving money, donating to charities, buying their shirts, everything.
Going to the benefits.
So, yeah, absolutely. We've been putting our energy into that to open Midnight Pass. Mm-hmm. And we thought that eventually it was going to have to be, sanctioned by the county to do it and bring in,
we've been trying to get the county.
Thing.
I know they've been trying to get the county to do it. Like, go out there and dig it out, right?
Yeah. So at first, a lot of people are thinking, like, oh man, we've been, going after this for like 15 years and now, we didn't even need to. And my thought was, no, we absolutely helped that happen because we put all this energy out there into, we want this pass open, we want this pass open. Now here's the off thing of it, right? Remember how I said weather spells and energy can often have unexpected repercussions. Mm-hmm. So our other favorite place to go, which was called Stump Pass, it's this beautiful, also a little key that, stretches out. And it got split in two, and now that state park is no longer walkable because it also took out
and
that
people
one.
Have decided to name it Milton Pass now because now it's a pass through where there once was a key.
There was no pass.
So when you talk about a pass, it's like from one water, the inner water,
the intercoastal,
then to
the Gulf.
Then the Gulf,
yeah.
right? So you got these keys that block
which are basically cool. Like really big sandbars with trees on them.
Really big sandbars with trees, and sometimes people decide to build houses.
And sometimes there's houses on them because they're rich and they can.
You know what I thought about when you were talking is all of the energy that went into that,
trying to get it
those
open.
People trying to make that change.
I mean, for years. It's been like 15 years, 20 maybe.
See, and
15
this is why we need patience as witches.
Yes. Yeah.
Because sometimes it takes time for those things to happen, and if it hadn't been for the storm, we would still be fighting for it. Mm-hmm. Though I say we, I mean we as a community here, because I know it's been people have bumper stickers on their
signs.
cars.
I have my T-shirt.
There's
I love my
Facebook
T-shirt.
Groups of it. There's all this stuff that
you're
people
always
have been
signing petitions and stuff.
Yeah, signing petitions, going to benefit what do you call them? Charity benefits, where the money that's you buy the burgers and.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, we're
getting off on so many subjects.
We are probably going to be over our 1 hour. I'm just warning you right now because we're talking about so many things. But I know when you wrote this topic, you were saying it was really, really hard.
It was really hard.
Really hard to do it because you hadn't thought about air in this way. And then once you did, it sort of opened
blew up. Yeah. It just got so expansive. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shit. That's a lot.
I never have thought about it. So this is the podcast. You're never going to think of air the same again after this podcast.
Energy, no.
So stick with us because we're getting ready to go into the...
we'll be at the usable stuff. We want to help you build a personal connection. But first I want to talk about invoking the air element or invoking air energy and how this is what we think about in witchcraft, right? If we're using this in our everyday lives and you have this practice, you're thinking about the symbols that go along with air. Feathers, number one, right? Light as a feather, stiff as a board shit, like way back when. I mean, these are things that you knew that you were defying or using that element to help you. The light is a feather thing. Yeah. So feathers symbolize that freedom and lightness, but they also signify spiritual communication because they're assisting something to take flight, to go higher than, it's originally, like when a bird is born, it is grounded. It has to earn the right to flight. And with spiritual communication and working on your craft, you have to earn the right to flight. You have to go through all those trials and tribulations. You have to fledge like a young owl would. I mean, it's just getting there. So that
my brother's a pilot. He had to train to do that.
Of course, yeah.
He flies helicopters and he flies small planes and stuff like that. He does mosquito mitigation here in Florida.
Not enough. I'm going to tell Uncle Mike. Not enough, Uncle Mike. I still have too many mosquitoes.
But that's what he does. He flies for like Lee County, and they go out and they spray and kill to take care of the mosquitoes. And so even pilots, there's a
training for it.
Yeah, training for it. Yeah. That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, with the tools and symbols, practice using them. So when you have a feather and you find feathers, like I love them as symbols. I have way too many. I collect them. I always imagined I would be giving them away, but I don't ever find people to give them to. But then we have incense and smudge sticks and anything that has the ability that air is carrying its thing through the air. So think about the smoke that comes off.
That's why I love wind chimes. I just untangled my wind chimes from Milton because I'm like finally putting together my lanai after Milton, the Hurricane Milton. And I just untangled them. And as I untangled the wind chimes and they started ting, 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 and I said, I just love you. I love the
Okay, so
sound.
tell me this. Why the fuck does my husband hate him?
I don't know.
And he's an air sign. He's a Libra.
Maybe it's overload.
Too much. Him. Yeah, it could
too
be much overload. Too much air. He doesn't like it.
Absolutely. You know what? When you think about it, it's like it could be too much.
Too much, yeah.
I don't know if I could ever get too much water, but I could certainly get too much emotion, to be overwhelming, to become overwhelming.
Too many emotional things.
Anyway,
yeah.
I'm not going to get stuck on that, but yeah. So
that's another tool or symbol is, using wind chimes and bells and whistles, sounds that ripple through air, aligning with that energy. My singing bowls have notes that they're aligned with chakras. So that is air energy going to a physical body, trying to heal a part of my,
I've seen singing bowls on sale on Facebook Marketplace lately.
Oh, shit.
Right?
Who's leaving their craft?
I don't know, but I'm like,
And then there's techniques. So you've got, with invoking air energy, you've got the tools and symbols, but then there's techniques to do too. And this costs nothing, but like breath work and meditation, those are air energy things to do. Meditation is visualization and being in a space and like sitting with yourself and really ignoring the body and just going right into your head space. With breath work, this is controlling the way the air is entering and leaving your body. And a lot of people find that really helpful. I don't necessarily like it. It's not for me. Meditation's for me. Breath work is not so much for me. I get annoyed. I don't like fucking being told how long to hold it and not. Like, I want to do it on my own. I don't like, and hold for 4. And I'm like,
that. She doesn't like being told what to do.
I just don't
know where that came from.
I don't know. It doesn't relax me. It makes me anxious. Visualizations, which I love visualizing.
I am always in my head, girl, so much.
Creating all the time.
I'm all the time thinking about something.
I have 500 projects to do in my head. That
you too?
All the time. Yeah.
Oh my God.
If I had unlimited time and space,
I have to start making notes because I have so many fucking ideas.
So many ideas.
And I love the spoken affirmations or prayers. A little thing that I've been using with myself lately is when I start on a negative thought or for me, I have these conversations in my head where I'm like, and then finally I tell myself, shut up. You're not helpful. That's just stop. Not your problem, not your business, so that I can get out of that mindset of sort of in my head going like, whatever it is, bitching about something. I feel like I do that a lot. So.
In her head.
In my head, I do that a lot. In certain situations, depending on what's going on.
So now that we understand how we're working with air energy, and that's just really one piece of the puzzle, truly, it's exploring how air energy influences our personal growth and mindset. And this is where we can create a personal connection with air. Like, so we just talked about, I'm not one for breath work, and you don't like how you might bitch in your own head. Creating this relationship with the air energies,
And I never, ever thought of it as air energy. That's the crazy thing about it. It's like, I just thought about it as thoughts in my head, not making the connection to air.
Yeah. Well, because we talked about, I don't know if it was a podcast or two ago, but we talk about, the ego versus the spiritual self even. And that battle is full of air energy as well, because the ego is like the thoughts that want to keep us safe, keep us small, repeat the same stories, don't change, stay comfortable, all of that. Whereas the spiritual self is like expand more, get more knowledge, become the crone eventually, like go through life's lessons, gain that
I'm right
experience.
there. I'm right there.
So I think for air skills of the mind, let's just call it that. You've got air skills now, air energy skills. Critical thinking is huge. And when we're exploring the thoughts in our head, I think that we have to like step back and observe, are we being logical or is this bullshit? We need to have a good bullshit meter on our own thoughts and what we're telling ourselves and what's really true and what's fucking made up or from our childhood or whatever.
Yeah.
But being able to step back and have that critical thinking.
Yeah.
I never liked hearing that in school. Like, we're going to do a critical thinking test. I was like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Right.
Like, what are you even trying to tell me to do? Critically think about something. What a critical thinking is to step out of your attachment to it. So you're stepping away from it being personal to you and looking at it from somebody who has no dog in the fight, skin in the game, whatever they say, and seeing it from like a very outsider's perspective of like, you know, it's not you, you're not in it. So you have to step way back. That's the critical thinking aspect. Yeah. Logic comes from experience and learning. So if you have no experience with what you're dealing with, I would say talk to a crone in your life. Talk to somebody who does have experience. You know, if you don't know how to think logically, critically, find somebody who has been through a lot of life and listen to them. Really listen to them. Yeah. I think that now that we don't have so many families that have like 3 generations strong, because I know most people don't, we're lacking that crone input to tell us, hey, what are you doing? That's bullshit. Don't listen to that, you know, because we forget in our 20s that most of the stuff that we're seeking is not very...
all the stuff going around in my head today.
Oh, Lord.
I really felt like I hit on some things. Like I had a couple of epiphanies. I was like, oh, shit, I need to write that down.
See?
That's where the thinking comes into. Sometimes the thinking is really beneficial, although sometimes I can't turn it off.
I think books are helpful for that, too. You know, when we read, I mean, reading is part of that air. It's part of that knowledge, that gaining and growing. Yeah. I would say the next one is like visualization and imagination. You need to be able to think your problems outside of the box, as people say. But really, if you could solve your problem with the wave of a magic wand, what would that do? What would it be like? If nothing was impossible, how would this go for you? When we take away those limiting beliefs, it's amazing how we still get stuck thinking that it's somebody else's problem or fault. We still don't allow ourselves to solve it. We're like, no, but wait, no, like something else is stopping me. Truly, it's not. Truly, it's us.
That's pretty heavy.
That's heavy, I know. Remember that the only rules that are true are the ones that we tell ourselves. That's it. Find somebody you don't agree with, and you'll figure that out real quick. Their rules, their thoughts.
And I think it's not just rules. It's like, the only thing that is real is the things that we tell ourselves.
I mean, that's true. That's perception.
Yeah, perception. I mean,
but I guess rules about how you do things, how you get through life, what you're capable of. Those limitations, all that's just set by us.
Yeah.
I mean, what if you really could run and take off and fly?
Well, and you know, society does this to us. So
of course,
society puts these constraints around us and says, no, you can't do that because you grew up in the hood, or you had 3 kids out of wedlock, or you've been divorced 4 times, or whatever. So that's a lot of that comes from outside of us, and we just have to believe in the impossible.
Believe in the impossible. Yeah, fuck everybody else. That's totally possible.
Exactly.
I loved this speech by Jim Carrey when he wrote himself that. I think it was like a $1 million check, right? And when he was starting out.
I remember you telling that story before.
Yeah, he wrote himself a $1 million check, and he was like, I'm going to get paid this. And he carried that fake check around in his wallet for like 4 years. And he eventually signed Dumb and Dumber and another movie. There were 2 at the same, and he's like, oh my God, it's happened. And at the same time that this was going on, his dad was like sick and died. And he buried that fake check with his dad because his dad didn't get to see the movies come out and, you know, him get the money and all that. Aww. But when he was giving this speech, because he got, you know, recognized for this work that he'd done, he said, I have the ability to think crazy fucking thoughts like anything is possible for me. And that's just what I have. I just have that ability to think anything is possible for me.
You know what's crazy? We all have that ability.
We do all have that ability. It's just whether or not we hang on to it.
Yeah.
And acknowledge it and, like, you know.
And live it.
Live it. Fucking create the mantra around it. Anything is possible for me.
Put the $1 million.
Everything I want is possible for me.
Write yourself a $1 million check and carry it around in your wallet. Right. And believe it.
Yes.
Which comes to the wisdom, you know. That's the wisdom through experience. Air represents adaptability, So we need to reflect on it's helpful to reflect on lessons that we've learned and use them to shape our future choices.
Yeah.
Journal about what we've learned. This was me today. Listen, guys, I was having there's some things going on around me. I'm like working through them in my head, and I had these real like moments of clarity, if you will, where I was like, oh shit, I think I just hit on, and I'm not going to go into this now, but why I've always picked the men that I've picked, men who needed taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to save that for another podcast because it's really fucking deep.
But clarity is air energy.
Yeah.
You know, being able to communicate effectively, decide your thoughts, be decisive, know what's going on. And that, I think that hits wisdom is through experience, you know, and reflection. I mean, experience, you have to think about your experiences in order to gain wisdom from them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just repeating the same shit. So if you find yourself that you have repeated the same fucking thing over and over again, the same lesson, the same relationship, the same job, the same argument with your kid, and this just keeps coming up, and you're just seeing yourself go through these same things. Like, why am I dealing with that again? Yes.
It's like Groundhog Day.
Same arguments. You're always, it's like, it's hitting on the same thing. You need to really sit with yourself and reflect on the experience and see what you're missing.
Yeah.
What are you missing? Because you're having to do the same thing over and over again. And I promise you, it's you, not them. It's what you're holding on to. It's something that you're not adjusting to. It's something that you're not figuring out. You didn't gain the wisdom from the first time it happened.
Well, sometimes you just have to sit back and like really think deeply about it, or think about it in a different way, from a different perspective. Like, yeah, I'm just going to leave that there because otherwise I'm going to get off on another tangent. So let's talk about the power of words, because this is where it starts, of course, is when the words may not be coming out of our mouth, but the words are in our heads, and that becomes our reality.
Yeah.
The words literally shape our reality. How happy are you? If you're unhappy, what are you telling yourself every day? What are the things that you're saying to yourself inside of your head? What's the dialogue? What's that inner dialogue like?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
The self-talk, are the words that you say to yourself, are they inspiring you, or are they making you feel like shit about the choices that you made in your life and the dumb decisions and whatever challenges you're going through? We can change those things. Once we recognize that we're like talking shit about ourselves in our own heads, we can decide to change that.
Yeah.
And we can stop talking shit about ourselves. I said something recently to my daughter, Jamie. I said, I really hate when I hear my mom, something about hearing my mother come out of my mouth. Do you remember when I said that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it was like, I hear my mother, and I just hate that.
Yeah.
I hate when I hear her come out of me.
Yeah.
It really bothers me because she was very harsh. And sometimes I feel like I'm really fucking harsh, and I hate that. And then she said, or you could just say,
I don't know. You're pointing to me like, I don't know what
she doesn't even remember what she said to me, and it was such an epiphany to me. Oh. She said something along the lines of, or you could just say, instead of saying, I hate when I hear my mother come out of my mouth, saying, I'm changing, or I'm growing from that. I don't remember the words that you said now. And it was just days ago.
I know.
It was literally just days ago.
I tell you, I should have a recorder on myself all the time because I don't fucking know. I say good things, but I don't remember them.
No, because sometimes I'm like, I'm so harsh just like my mother. I'm just like my mother. And that's the part that I need to stop. Am I just like my mother? No, I'm not. But sometimes I hear my mother come out, and then that thought creeps into my head. I'm just like my mother. And I don't really like that. Yeah. I don't like that part of me.
I know what I would say to you now is turning that around is like, I'm so glad I can recognize that and I have the power to change it.
Yeah, exactly. It was even better the other day, but that's okay. We'll go with that. You get the point though. The point is like, what is that inner dialogue?
You're shifting the language. You're shifting that inner dialogue.
These are words.
Yeah.
And they might not come out of your mouth, but they're in your head. And they're repeating themselves. Yeah. They're on a loop. You know who I'm talking to, because I feel you out there.
Yeah. The one that I've heard from a lot of women is like how they've been told that they're not good enough for something, or they can't because they're a woman, or this isn't possible, or like that's not for you. And it's people that love them, air quotes, love them, telling them this to like keep them down and keep them small. I was like, fuck that. If you like it, if you want to, do it. Yeah. Be around people who are pushing you to do shit that makes you uncomfortable. Those are the people that want to see you soar. Like they want to see you fucking take off with those wings.
So I think I shared with you a minute ago, so talking about words and manifestation, if you speak the words into the wind with conviction, that's manifestation. Mm-hmm. When we use mantras as part of our daily life, that's manifestation.
Yep.
And I say to myself now when I'm thinking these thoughts and I'm having these dialogues in my head, like just stop and try to change that, whatever that dialogue is, into something that's more positive.
Something that happens for me that I really don't like, that I have to have other things to say to myself when these creep in. Yeah. I think about past mistakes sometimes, and it ruminates, and I feel it in my gut that I'm like upset with myself, like, why did you do that? Like, why?
Yeah.
And I shouldn't. It literally, like 20 years ago, I was in my 20s, I'm 44 almost.
Oh my
and
gosh, are you
I can I'll wake up, and it's like, that's what anxiety is for me, is I'll wake up and I'll think about this one time that I, tried to have a relationship with somebody or something, and it went wrong, like instantly. And then I chased after it anyways and was like, no, I can fix this. I can make this right. And thinking that it was me that could like be the savior of the day or like fix it. And that wasn't it at all. I didn't recognize that my affections weren't wanted and I should have walked away. Instead, I tried harder. I was like, no, wait, everything's
something
fine.
That women have a tendency to do.
Fucking hell. And it makes me like, I was young, and that was probably only my third relationship in my whole life. Yeah. But why do I beat myself up now 25 years later? Like,
that comes, when we have these critical self-thoughts, we've got some practical exercises for you and some examples, so that when you have these critical self-thoughts or you're ruminating on something that happened 25 years ago that's in the past now.
It's so long ago.
But it still comes up for you because it's something that you're still maybe processing.
Maybe I haven't forgiven myself.
Maybe you haven't forgiven yourself.
I haven't forgiven myself. Like, you were a kid, let it go.
We can reframe these things into an empowering belief, something that uplifts us instead of tearing us down.
Yeah. Because he basically told me, like, you're not good enough for me. I was never going to pursue this. Like, he just wanted to see how far I could get with me. And that hurt. And I was like, no, you mean, wait, you didn't see me as a good person? Like, you didn't actually like things about me? Like, that really fucked with my identity.
Okay, so those words.
Yeah.
This is, I think, and I don't know if you talk about this in here when you wrote this, about the words that come out of our mouths and being careful about the things that we say, because that has stuck with you.
Definitely.
For your whole life.
25. Probably won't forget it because it had such an impact on me being so young.
So be careful with your words.
So now I think that there's like, we have these critical thoughts that we have that are maybe our mistakes or things people have said to us, and they're critical because they're not good. They're tearing you down, picking you apart, putting you into pieces.
Example, I'm not good enough for fill in the blank.
And now with mistakes, it's like I'm actually so much more gentle and I have so much more grace for myself making mistakes now. Where I'm like, I'm fucking learning.
You're kind to yourself much more like kinder. You are to other people?
Fuck yeah. Like,
How is it that we can be kind to other people and we're so hard on ourselves? Yeah. That's so true.
That's fucking air energy right there.
Critical thought. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Empowering belief.
I'm learning and growing. I'm becoming better every day. My journey is uniquely my own. That's
critical thought. I always make mistakes.
Yeah. Empowering belief. Let's change it to mistakes are opportunities for growth and learning. They make me stronger and fucking wiser. I love that. If I know that if something is like, oh, this happened, but I'm wiser, I am so much wiser because of that situation. I like focusing on that. I won't make
that mistake again.
Won't do that again.
Yeah.
Won't do that again. Yeah.
I could never achieve that.
Instead, we should say, I'm capable of achieving great things. With effort and belief, I can accomplish my dreams. That's just keeping the inspiration, the inspiring thought.
Flip, right? Mm-hmm. And you know what? And even if you don't believe it when you say it, keep saying it because you will eventually believe it. Oh, here's another one. I don't deserve success or happiness. I haven't done anything to deserve that.
I'm not worthy of it. This is an I'm not worthy statement. I didn't write those words, but I've heard that so many times from women when we get down to the core.
Oh, man.
They don't feel worthy for the things.
Listen, we struggle with that. A society has put these things around us that make us struggle with our worth, or the things in our life, or experiences in our life, especially when we were young as girls. Mm-hmm. We might have learned to devalue ourselves, or
you're only valuable if you're valuable to somebody else.
Yeah,
your value is dependent on what other people see in you.
Instead of saying like I'm worthless.
Yeah.
What can we say?
I'm worthy of success and happiness. I deserve to enjoy the good things life has to offer. I think we all deserve to enjoy the good things life has to offer. So I say that to myself, like, I deserve this. Why wouldn't I deserve this? Who else deserves this more than me? Or like, it's not deserving as if I should own everything and be everything and all powerful, all knowing, high, whatever the fuck. No, just the little things. I deserve to be fucking happy. I deserve to treat myself nice. I deserve that. And you don't have to have a because statement. Huge thing. Yeah. Huge thing. Do not try to make a because statement. Because when I first started my worth journey, it was like, I'm worthy of happiness because.
Yeah.
No. Now you're putting a fucking stipulation on why you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be happy because you chose to be in this life and this journey right now. And you're doing the best you fucking can.
I deserve to be happy is a complete sentence.
Point and stop. That's it. Done.
Put a period after
that. I deserve to be happy. That's right. I deserve the good things life has to offer.
Here's another one for women. I think that we all feel like this at some time. I'm too fucking emotional. And you know what? That's my downfall.
My downfall is I'm too emotional.
My downfall is I'm too emotional. Everything impacts me emotionally. So if we feel like that,
people tell us we're that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody said to us, "You're so fucking emotional."
Oh, no. This came up. Okay, I'm not trying to bring up politics, but a woman president. I remember that's what they said when Hillary ran. I think she was the first woman to run. I don't really know. But so, yeah. They were like, a woman running, she'd be so emotional. Like, oh my God, when she has her period, she's just going to bomb everybody. Like, what the fuck?
Okay, so this is the shit that society tells us. Exactly. And it can't help but seep into our subconscious.
And all the men around us subconscious. Think about it. It's going to everybody. It's not just us. But how men then feel about us.
We're surrounded by it, all that's in the air. So it sinks in and we start to fucking believe it. So we can change that too.
Instead of that, you know what? My emotions are a strength. They connect me to my intuition and they guide me to what matters most. Fucking love that.
Fuck yeah.
Your emotions are part of connecting you to your intuition and they guide you to what matters most.
Yeah.
I love that one. I think I'm going to write that one down and put it on my mirror. Not that I ever say I'm too emotional, but I just love the way that one sounds. I'm like, I want to repeat that every morning.
Turning, some of the ways we can turn air energy or tune into, rather. So let's talk about our daily lives, right? How do we tune into this on a day, every day? Because we're dealing with it every day. Every time when we wake up, when we dream, when we go to sleep, when we interact with people, when we're sitting with ourselves, all the things that are happening for us right then, our thoughts, it's all air energy.
It's all fucking air energy.
We're living. There's things on the wire, if you will. I want to say on the wire, but really it's on the frequency. Did you talk about the witches when they put their hands out? Did you talk about that?
I don't remember, but let me tell that story really quick.
Yeah,
it's so
tell
cool.
the story of that.
Yeah, so in traditional witchcraft, and this goes back to like the 15 and 1600s, where they would tell the story of if you were a traditional witch, you were given knowledge. I do feel like I might have talked about this, but you were given knowledge that was passed down from generation to generation. Well, guess what? We're not all born into witch families. We are born as witches if we choose it, and then you may have nobody else who chose it, and you're the first in your line to choose being a witch. And so there's this ancient belief that women, or men, I guess, putting your hands out, your palms are like these receptors. And because all of this energy, all this knowledge, all of this wisdom flows through the air, it's all around us, they would put their hands out, open, all the fingers spread like nets. And as they cast their hands through the air, slowly, fast, however you want to do it, imagine you're collecting the wisdom and you're finding the information that's meant for you to flow into you. And as soon as I do that, I start making my hands like I'm doing waves towards myself, like I'm rolling smoke into my face, kind of like from stage or something, where you're almost assisting it. Like, yes, come to me, bring me the things I need on the wind, And it was the way that they said solitary witches started to grow a practice, and that was part of it. I love the imagery of that so much.
I love the imagery of that.
Yes, the palms, all the fingers extended like all a net to gather the
palms
things
out, like spread
all the way
out and arms out as far as you can go.
And just hold them up to the sky.
And you can feel it, actually, if you stay like that for a minute. Like, I feel...
Do you feel open?
I feel open. I also feel air movement. Yeah. Probably because my AC's on. But nevertheless, it's like, even though that's subtle, that's very subtle. Even if you were just in your yard. Think about if you were on your backyard.
You're in a position of being receptive.
Yeah, you're open.
You're calling that air energy into you. You're allowing it to flow through, and for the things that matter for you, for your journey to stick to you. Remember, air also holds all of our spirits, our deities, the ones who have crossed over. Like, all of that is flowing through the air that's crossing over your body, that's rushing past you. Like, the imagery of that's so powerful.
So powerful. Here's something that I've never, ever thought about doing, and that is to check in with yourself on a daily basis to see what kind of energy, what's the element that I need the most today. If the answer is air, you focus on clarity, communication, and connection. Yeah. It might be air and fire. I don't know. It might be air and water, but it's probably going to include air.
Because we have to think about it first.
In our fucking...
Can we ever get out of air?
I don't think we can ever get out of air.
I don't think we can ever get out of air.
And I have a new respect for air, the element of air today.
I know. And this is going to be our longest podcast yet, and it's over the air energy, because there's just so much to say about it into everybody.
Well, and we're putting it out into the air.
Into the air, like, it's many
all of the things that are coming together right now, these little, like, connectors that are happening. Like,
so wild.
I'm feeling this, like, super electricity here.
Yes.
And it's like the thousands of bubbles. I just think of all those little bubbles with the thing. I got to find the bubble machine thing that made the little wand that you could make 1,000 little bubbles with. Daily, another way to tune into your air energy on a daily basis, of course, breath work. If you can do that. Jamie's not a fan of breath work, but she's a fan of meditation, so that's another tool that we can use. But breathing techniques, just to inhale for 4. This is why you don't like it, being told what to do.
It's the instruction.
Inhale for 4 counts. Yeah. Exhale for 4 counts. Yeah. Or hold for 4 counts, then exhale for 4 counts. So it's like 4, 4, 4, so 12. Yeah. But it's actually shown to help calm the mind.
It calms the nervous system down too. Yeah. It resets.
It has real medical implications. Yeah, it does. It brings down the systems of your body to a more homeostasis.
Right. So if you have that excess air energy where you're thinking too much and you've got all these worries, this breath work is something that will bring you back to baseline, which is very helpful for then using your critical thinking to then make the decisions that you need to, and really...
The breath work can really help you in stress. I feel like in a stressful situation, you could just do it. If you were sitting in court, I just think about... I don't know why court comes to my mind, because a court where you're waiting for something to happen is very, like, the energy inside of a courtroom. If you've ever been where there's arraignments and stuff like that, and I have been in a room where everybody's being arraigned and all their families are there and all this stuff is going on, the energy,
I can
the energy in that room is palpable. It absolutely is. And there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of, like, unknowing and uncertainty and all that stuff. And if you ever were in that situation, that would be a situation where, you could use your breath to, like, bring yourself down from what you're not only experiencing yourself, but what you're picking up on everyone else experiencing in that room.
That's the problem.
Because it's even more than just you're worried about whatever you're there for, your family member or whatever that you're there to support. You're picking up on the energy of everyone else in that room who's going through the same thing. That is Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, that's what we talked about level. With the big spaces.
Yeah, with the big spaces.
You just feel it all together at the same time. Yeah. It's so heavy for that. I don't know, the other one wasn't heavy, but it was electric.
But the point is, like, all these people in the same space going through the same similar experience and having these same similar feelings about it, and it just permeating the air. My favorite, though, my favorite thing is affirmations, mantras, things that I say to myself to get my brain off some kind of a negative track that it might be on.
The loop.
Where I'm thinking, the loop. Negative exactly. A negative loop that I might be on. Yeah. What I find the most helpful for me is to start repeating something to myself. Yep. Not my problem, not my business. Yes. Whatever it might be. Right. Because a lot of times I worry about other people in my lives, and I'm like, you know what? I can do what I can do, and I can't spend my time worrying about every one of my family members and the choices that they're making, you know, and seeing, you know, like as if I can see the future or something. I have to stop that because we're all on our own journey. And so I have to find words, and I do find words to say to myself
during those times.
Yeah. And that, so daily affirmations or mantras really are very, very helpful.
My favorite one is, this is all happening for a reason. I have to let it be. You know, like, don't meddle too much. Like, I got to let people have their experiences. I can't try to control it.
I have to remind myself that we're all here for our own lessons.
We're all here for our own lessons.
And I can't save people from their lessons.
No, can't save people from their lessons. And I don't get to determine what's good or bad for them, because if somebody had taken some of my lessons from me, I wouldn't be as strong as I am today.
Exactly.
And so I have to, because I respect my own things I've been through, I have to respect when other people are going through hard things. And find my own place that's comfortable. It's like, I'm here as an ear for you. I can't really help you in any other way.
And you know what?
Being okay with that.
Sometimes that's not an easy thing to do. And I feel like as mothers and wives and sisters and aunts and stuff, we all, you know, we take on this responsibility, if you will, even if we don't step up and be like, I'm the matriarch and everybody come to me for advice, we still innately kind of like get into these positions where we're the confidant, or you know, people look to us for advice, or maybe we just take that on ourselves, and so it can get really heavy and really
you own it. You start to own the stories of other people as if you can have some control, and you don't. And that conflicts with what we're here to really do, is like not control but console. You know, give advice.
So, by cultivating our relationship with air energy, we can elevate both our magical practice and our everyday lives. But remember, air is more than just an element. It is a companion. It's always with us, and it's always guiding us.
I love that.
I do too.
I think air energy is in every breath, every thought, every word. And by understanding and embracing air, we can expand, evolve, and create a life that feels truly magical for us. Until next time, witches, may the winds of air magic guide you to reclaim your power, speak your truth, and continue to rise and grow.
Don't I have goosebumps?
Oh, I love you guys so much. Oh my goodness.
We love you guys.
We will see you on the next episode.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.